In any game, you could spend countless hours, and in some cases weeks, wasting time doing things the wrong way completely. Or you may just want to know the best strategies and techniques to get things done faster. So the purpose of this video is to help you to avoid those things that you more than likely will later on regret not knowing. Hey, what's up everybody? It's 𝒉𝒆𝒍𝒑𝒔 from Identity, and Wo Long is here. With it comes all kinds of information about combat, weapons, gear, and everything else you'll need to know. Things that I struggled with through countless hours of playing Wo Long. And of course, when searching up guides and information about how certain mechanics work, well, there's a huge difference between reading it and actually playing it. So I'm gonna give you a battle-hardened perspective from over 30 hours of experience. And when talking about this game, the main aspect is its combat objective. And one thing a lot of people will tell you is that you should always stay aggressive and dominant in battle. The game rewards aggression by filling your spirit gauge with every successful attack or block, and punishes safe playstyles by decreasing your spirit gauge with every enemy attack blocked or hit. I agree with this assessment to a certain extent because it does definitely reward you for aggressive play, but that will not work against certain boss encounters. When fighting them is when you should be the most cautious because they could end you if you make just one mistake. So a meticulous state of mind is ideal here. Time your parries with a mixture of attacks, slow, steady, and calculated. Every boss encounter is different in a way, so you can't just be aggressive all the time. There are also people saying that you should use deflect as much as you can. The deflect will negate all incoming damage, as well as increase your spirit gauge and put you in a position to attack the enemy. Try to use deflect to create an opening for attack rather than guarding and waiting for an opening, as guarding excessively will likely deplete all of your spirit and get you stunned. Now here's another assessment I do agree with, halfway. Deflecting does not work in your favor all the time. Hear me out. When I was fighting AoE, this abomination had a lot of attacks from unpredictable angles and timing, and with him, you want to fight closely, directly in front of him while he's performing them. I do have a guide I'll soon upload showing you exactly how to beat him, but I personally thought it was more stressful to try and deflect all of his attacks because you could simply block until he uses critical strike, of course. And if you do just block, yes, it will negatively affect your martial arts meter, which will eventually get you stunned, but not if you mix this block up with attacks in between AoE's attacks. This will balance your meter so that you'll never get stunned. All that's required of you is quick reflexes coupled with precision when attempting to deflect his critical strike. But I do agree that when fighting other normal NPCs in 1v1 or 1v3 encounters, the deflect is extremely important. Those enemies are no joke, and it feels like no matter what in Wo Long, you have to be on point at all times. Here's another one. Use spirit attacks at the end of a normal attack combo. Using a spirit attack after 3 or 4 normal attacks will reduce the usual time taken to do one. And by the way, I was reading up online, and this is from 𝒉𝒆𝒑𝒔. They always have a lot of good guides on games, and I wanted to put my perspective in here to give you an understanding based on the experience that I have playing the game. And it's definitely a lot of changes I had to make after reading it as opposed to playing it. So I wanted to share with you. So as I said, using a spirit attack after 3 or 4 normal attacks will reduce the usual time taken to do one and maximize the spirit gauge to an enemy as well as the normal damage. This is especially important against bosses, as using spirit attacks will shrink their spirit gauge and thus bring you closer to executing a fatal strike. Now this I 100% agree with. Sometimes the enemy will dodge when you try and use a spirit attack though. So here you'll just need to keep your wits about you. Also, a quick note about bosses and spirit attacks. Sometimes it's not a great idea to perform this even if it's quicker to do it when you chain it with your combo. Because for bosses that have a small interval attack window, doing spirit attacks might leave you vulnerable to damage if you do not time it right. It's very risky and can waste a lot of your time trying to progress through the game. Now, continuing on regarding martial arts, do not spam them or wizardry spells all the time. These abilities are very powerful but need to be used properly to be effective in battle. Using these spells flat out decreases your spirit gauge and will leave you stunned if they're overused, because when you use them you're stuck in an animation, giving enemies time to attack and break your stance as you're weakened from casting the ability. And there's a reason for this, because if you do it right, the spells and the wizardry attacks are very strong. Because there is a method that I'm currently trying to implement. I'm investing in the metal virtue, which gives you spirit sustainability. One of the greatest things, I must say. This means that when your spirit meter is on the positive range, it'll last longer until it gets back to neutral. This promotes the aggressive style of play the game rewards you for. And not only that, metal reduces the spirit consumption rate for wizardry spells. This is great for if you want to actually become a true wizard. And going back to the main point of this part of the discussion, not spamming attacks in general speaks to the fact of Wo Long not being a hack and slash. This game is combat strategically grounded, and I love that. Now let's expound on that with this bonus information. You should use martial arts mostly when your spirit gauge is positive. When it's positive, meaning in the blue, it empowers your next martial arts attack, dealing more damage to enemies. And I do think that this requires a little bit of a higher skill gap when fighting, because in order to maintain this, you can't get hit much at all. And that's very hard to master in this game, but you can do it with practice and consistency. I can only imagine how good players will get in Wo Long. Anyways, I think I pretty much covered a lot of what you should avoid so that you won't waste time and regret certain things later. I hope it helped you, and if so, I'd appreciate a like on the video. Also subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I'll see you in my next video. Be right out.